Stan Williams. I'm a resident of Monterey County. There was an incident that happened on December 11th where Officer John Carvello essentially put his knee on a minor 15-year-old kid's neck. And when he was told by an adult that, you know, he's a minor, the police officer said, "I don't care." He said it twice, "I don't care, I don't care." And when he was asked about his badge number, he told the man, "Get him." And that police brutality and that police violence, there's no room for that in our community. So I'm here today to rally and to go down to Seaside City Hall to let the mayor and city council know that this violence has no place in our community.
Absolutely. I mean, the video of, you know, that 15-year-old was very tough to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, when you first saw it, I mean, what was your initial reaction to it?
It reminded me of George Floyd back in 2020. I've been protesting and marching against police brutality since Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown. And so we keep on seeing these incidents pop up. And I live here and I am just sickened and appalled by this disgusting act of police brutality.
What message would you like to send not only to them but also Seaside Police?
So there's three things, right? There's three demands I would think our community wants, right? One is the city council to get some moral courage and do what's right by the community. And the second thing, we want to see John Carvello fired. What he did, he shouldn't be able to do that to anyone else. And the third thing is that we should, if they could put him on paid administrative leave and find the money and use taxpayer money to do this, they could surely find an ability to give these kids therapy, you know, for the violence and destruction they caused in their lives as individuals, their families' lives, in the community of Seaside. So those are the three things that we're looking for and demanding from Seaside City Council.
You know, looking at the larger community, what message do you hope to send to the community with, you know, what's been happening and what you hope to achieve today?
So our community matters. Every single person in our community matters. To a 15-year-old minor, to the kids who were laid out by the cops. We support them and we're going to fight for them. And that's what the message is, why we're out here.
Absolutely.
My name's Jackie, and I am a Seaside resident. A kid got wrongfully detained, and a police officer put his knee on the side of his neck. And to see it happen to a kid that, you know, goes to Seaside High, it just raised a lot of red flags because it's just very dangerous what the police officer did. It could have seriously injured the kid. It could have even killed him. So it's very, very shocking.
Yeah, I mean, shocking is, you know, what we've been hearing from a lot of people. Dan, you know, that officer in the video, he's currently on administrative leave, you know, pending this investigation. I mean, what would you like to see next from Seaside Police? I mean,
I feel like he should be in jail because what he did was very dangerous and it was wrong, you know. An older guy leaning on a kid's neck that, you know, it could have killed him. I hope that we can find a way to de-escalate situations in a more, you know, ethical way, more safer way, without using guns, without using force like that, and to make sure that, you know, there's just a safer way to deal with stuff like that.
And I guess just for you personally, I mean, how did it make you feel when you saw the video?
It made me feel really heartbroken because it's like, the Seaside's supposed to be a safe place. It's supposed to be a community, and when things like that happen, it breaks the community. So it just made me feel very heartbroken. That we hear the people of Seaside, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that the community feels safe.
Me llamo Daisy Banderas, soy residente de Seaside y soy organizadora con el grupo Monterey Palestinian Solidarity Group. Yo estoy aquí porque pues no es justo que un niño de 15 años, y no es justo que nadie, pero un niño, un menor de edad de 15 años, que esté jugando en el parque, vaya caminando a su casa y de pronto lo para la policía y ni siquiera le lean sus derechos ni nada, simplemente se arrodillaron sobre él, y eso es un peligro, no nomás para la comunidad, pero para todo el mundo. Eso es para ver nuestros niños venir de la escuela y pasar sobre eso. Entonces, ¿en quién confías? Ni en la policía ni en la gente.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, given that you're here at the rally, going to march over to Seaside City Hall, what message would you like to send, not only to Seaside, the city of Seaside, but also the Seaside Police Department?
Para la ciudad de Seaside, los residentes de Seaside, es muy importante que ahorita nos unamos como comunidad para traer más atención a estas cosas que están pasando en nuestra comunidad, porque no nomás pasan aquí, pero ahora están por chance están pasando aquí. Es importante que no dejemos a la juventud sufrir por esto sin hacer algo. Ellos también pueden pelear, pero tienen que saber, saber que alguien está detrás de ellos apoyándolos y peleando por sus derechos, porque ellos mismos también saben que no está bien. Y mi mensaje al departamento de policía es que supuestamente están protegiendo nuestras comunidades, pero ¿cómo están protegiendo nuestras comunidades? Pero acosando a los menores de edad y diciendo que no les importa que son menores de edad. Si fuera los hijos de ellos, no creo que estarían bien con esto pasando. Y también otro mensaje a la comunidad de Seaside es que tenemos que asegurarnos que ellos trabajan para nosotros, los políticos trabajan para nosotros según, y la policía según también trabaja para nosotros. Entonces es nuestro trabajo hacerlos que trabajen para nosotros, porque por eso están allí. Entonces tenemos que asegurarnos que también inviertan en nuestra comunidad para que esto no siga pasando. Mi último mensaje sería que todos recordemos que no nomás porque es menor de edad es importante, sí es muy importante porque es menor de edad, esto no está correcto, pero no es correcto para que le pase a nadie. Entonces no queremos que eso le pase a nadie y tristemente ese niño, yo creo ese día pensó que se iba a morir o que posiblemente se podía morir, y eso no es justo. Entonces no tenemos que dejar a esos niños sufrir y no tenemos que dejar que ni uno ni el otro suframos tampoco.
No racist police! Stop fucking policing minors, 15-year-olds. How do you mistake a 15-year-old for an adult? And how do you mistake a 15-year-old with his friends, with a dog walking from a park, for a criminal that you're supposedly looking for? How do you not care that that person was a 15-year-old? You're caught on camera saying, I don't care that that person is a minor. That's fucking stupid. And then they expect us not to be angry. They expect us to be like, okay with it. When that kid thought he was gonna die that day, that's fucking bullshit. Shame! 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 Shame!
Police are violent. We won't be silent.
Raising our voices against the grave issue of police violence in Seaside, California. We gather here not just as individuals, but as a community, demanding change and accountability. The role of law enforcement is to protect and serve, to hold the values of justice and equality. However, recent events have shown us that there is a crack in the system, cracks that have allowed abuse of power and the violence of our basic human rights. We cannot ignore the stories of individuals who have suffered at the hands of those who were supposed to protect them. We cannot turn a blind eye to the pain and agony that some members of our community have been disproportionately targeted and mistreated. But today we have a choice. We have the power to come together and demand a change in the way our police force operates. We demand transparency, accountability, and policies that prioritize de-escalation techniques and community-oriented policies. We call upon our local government to take immediate action. It is time for those investigations into misconduct for unobstructed, oversighted boards to ensure fair treatment and for comprehensive training programs that will ensure that people feel safe, and training programs that prioritize empathy, culture sensitivity, and the preservation of lives.
Damas y caballeros, hoy estamos unidos ante la injusticia y levantando nuestras voces contra el grave problema de las violaciones de los policías en Seaside, California. Nos reunimos hoy no solo como individuos, pero como miembros de la comunidad que exige cambio y transparencia de sus actos. El papel de la ley es proteger y servir, defender los valores de la justicia y la igualdad. Sin embargo, los actos recientes nos han demostrado que no es cierto, que hay cosas que han permitido el abuso de poder y la violación de nuestros derechos humanos básicos. No podemos ignorar las historias de los que han sufrido a manos de aquellos que tenían por objeto protegerlos. No podemos cegarnos al dolor y la angustia que miembros de nuestra comunidad han estado pasando por estos actos y que han sido maltratados. Hoy tenemos una opción. Tenemos el poder de reunirnos y exigir un cambio en la forma de que opera nuestra fuerza policía. Exigimos transparencia, rendición de cuentas y aplicación de políticas que prioricen las técnicas de escalación y que la policía haga su trabajo. Le decimos a nuestro gobierno local que tome medidas inmediatas. Es hora de que investiguen las faltas de conducta y y que apliquen programas de formación integrales que prioricen la empatía, la sensibilidad cultural y la preservación de la vida.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. My name is Veronica Hamilton. I'm a resident of Monterey. I'm a school board member for NPOSD. I'm also a delegate assembly member for the California School Board Association and director at large for the California Latino School Board Association, and the finance and policy manager for MIDPA, a local community-based organization serving our children. Most importantly, I'm a mother of 3 children here on the peninsula. And all children equally as important to me as my own children, which is why I'm here today and why I do what I do every day. On December 12th, Seaside Police Officer John Crivello is under investigation for using excessive force on a 15-year-old teenager walking home with his peers. This boy is a participant of our Movadola program at NOVA. My heart sank when watching this disturbing video of a child crying in pain while no visual remorse is shown for an adult forcing this pain. As a brown mother, I'm worried about this happening to my own children. As an aunt to a black niece and nephew, I worry about this happening to them as well. As a resident of the Peninsula, I worry about this happening to our black and brown children, and it did. This is extremely unacceptable, and the officer must be held accountable, and the department needs to ensure this never happens again. We as leaders need to also hold ourselves accountable on what we do next. This incident is a direct violation of AB 1196. Ban chokeholds or other defensive tactics in which pressure is applied to the side of a person's neck and that's involved in a substantial risk of restricting blood flow and may render the person unconscious or in order to subdue or control the person. Also effective January 1st, 2021, SB 203 requires that youth under the age of 18 consult with an attorney prior to the custodial interrogation and read the Miranda rights. This consultation may not be waived. These policies are backed by the California State Legislative Black Caucus and as an effort to reform policing in the wake of the killing of George Floyd. California is the first state in the nation to require such protections for minors, and as a state leading the nation, we must do better. As a leader at NPSD, I want to know the facts. We do not have MOUs for SROs at our school campuses. We also do not share any video data surveillance with law enforcement unless otherwise warranted. I and many of my colleagues instead are invested in allocating our funds to use services such as mental health therapists on campus, after-school programs, contracts with community-based organizations, and addressing solutions over 22% McKinney-Vento students who are unhoused or living in multiple families in one home, and we do much more. With all the hats I wear, one thing remains the same, and that's my values as a leader and a mother. We are an interconnected community on the peninsula, and beyond must choose an appropriate, loving, promising methods for our children over hateful, racist, punitive actions. Our future depends on it. I'll leave you with this quote from Nelson Mandela. Safety and security don't just happen.
Thank you so much. Your time is
up.
up.
Collective concept.
Thank you. Well, I ask you guys to hold your applause. We got a lot of people. Everybody may want to talk, so the next person, please.
I'll leave you with a quote from Nelson Mandela. Safety and security don't just happen. They are the result of collective consensus and public investment. We are children, the most vulnerable citizens in our society, a life free of violence and fear. Thank you.
Yeah, I said hold the applause. I mean, you know, we want people to be able to say what they want to say, and if we start clapping on one side, people don't want to hear what you have to say, you don't want them to boom. So let's be respectful of each other. Thank you so much.
My name is Lisa. I'm a resident of Monterey, an organizer with Monterey Palestine Solidarity, and I work with an organization that provides free legal aid and social emotional support to children. This city has for too long looked the other way while its police force has bullied, harassed, intimidated, and sometimes committed assault against its residents, particularly its residents of color, and including, as you know, its children. That is why I've come here to urge you to defund the Seaside Police Department and reallocate its resources to community programs that really keep people safe. housing subsidies, food aid, community centers, healthcare, and mental health care. These are the things that produce real healing, safety, and security for our residents. Additionally, as we know, there are children in another community far away from our own who are also suffering from chronic and grave violence, including violence against children, by uniformed, armed government employees. They are funded by resources leached from this community and communities like it across the country. That's why I'd like to also urge you to propose and pass a ceasefire resolution calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza and the occupied Palestinian territories, immediate restoration of all humanitarian aid to Gaza and Palestine, and an end to all U.S. military, economic, and diplomatic support to the State of Israel. How a community treats its children is the lowest bar it can set for the way it will treat anyone else in its community. A community that pays grown men to assault children is willing to stoop to any low. There is no standard to which that community is holding itself. So I urge you to take a moment to really reflect on the kind of standards that this community wants to hold itself to, and to measure that by the way we allow any person in this community to treat its children. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah. I'm not feeling my best or looking my best, so please guys, keep that in mind. I don't like to speak on script, but I wanted to introduce myself today as a Palestinian resident of Seaside. I was born in Sean and lived here all my life. And just living these days as a Palestinian is a struggle. One of my best friends is from Gaza. Her family is struggling, to say the very least. Her cousin is currently lost in the north. She doesn't know where her 4 kids are. Her husband was one of the guys we just saw paraded on the streets naked. This is our daily conversation. Every time that we see her, every time that we speak to her, and waking up, like one morning, learning about a case of oppression happening by our police force in our local community really disturbed me. Because I thought that I lived in a safe place where laws and rules matter and where a certain group of people isn't more oppressed than another group. So today I'd like to let you guys know that I'd really like this case prosecuted and handled, and I'd really like to call for a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline, and I'm here to speak on how I thought I lived in a safe community. I thought that I was in a place where, I could go outside, I could walk with my friends. But now that I've seen what happened to that kid, I don't think that anymore. Because thinking that, you could get stopped anywhere, and the cops will think that you are someone that you're not. And then they can just, do whatever and get basically a slap on the wrist. It's not okay. I worry that when it will happen to someone that I know. I live near the high school, and it's just troubling to see that not much is getting done, not much has been said, and it's just very hard. Because I grew up here knowing that it would be a community, that people are safe.
Hey everybody, I'm here first and foremost as the father of a child that goes to Seaside High, a junior at Seaside High who spends time at the Boys and Girls Club and who plays at the park where this incident happened, right? And I'm here activated by the actions of John Crivillo, right? The single police officer who we all saw, and I'm sure you all have seen, and if you haven't, you should, right? You have to see these things. All seen kneel on that child's neck, and all heard say the words, "I don't care," right? When he was told that he was kneeling on the neck of a minor. He said twice, "I don't care. I don't care," right? And I want the people who are in charge of the safety of my child to care about the safety of children in our community. I don't want anybody wearing a badge who has the power and the authority to do those things to the people in this community, to be able to utter the words that they don't care about the safety of a child, that they have direct control over. So I'm here as a parent. I'm also here as a faculty at CSUMB who wants to see all these kids come to me, right? And not be funneled into our prison industrial complex, and not to be funneled into disciplinary programs in our schools, and not to be treated like criminals by police officers in their communities and in their schools. Right? I'm here as a faculty member who wants to teach these children in a couple of years, right? And I want my daughter's graduating class to all come to Seaside High, right? And that's something that I think all of us here in this community, we care about the children. My wife is a school teacher, and one of her mottos is that the safety of all children is the responsibility of all adults, right? And if our police officers can't take that responsibility seriously, then I don't think people like John Pervillo should be a police officer, right? And I think that we should do the things that we need to do here as the city council and as a mayor and as the people who have some say in this matter, right? And I also think that the safety of all children being the responsibility of all adults ties back to another important thing that this council should discuss, which is a ceasefire resolution. There are Palestinian members of your constituency here who are suffering and who are hurting, and who every day wake up to a place and a government in their local city representatives who have not said a word about their pain and their suffering and the things that their families are going through, right? Your silence is complicity in these things, and you know it. And if you're going to remain silent in the face of people, your own constituents, Palestinians in your community, telling you about the pain that they're in, then you're complicit.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. I'm Eugene Jones, a longtime resident of the City of Seaside. I'm here tonight to stand before the City Councilman as the chairman of the Community Safety Advisory Committee, and the commissioners of this committee stands along with me. The Community Safety Advisory Committee was created to provide a place for the community to voice concerns, provide feedback with respect, to build trust, and a harmonious relationship between the community and the public safety department. It also provides an avenue to praise the actions and efforts of the public safety operations. We are here to address the recent incident of accusations of excessive force by one of our Seaside police officers. Immediately upon being informed of this incident, the officer was placed under investigation. As the chairman of the Community Safety Advisory Committee, I want to come tonight to speak about the current climate and culture of the Seaside Police Department. The culture of the Seaside Police Department under Chief Borges is one of community safety and service. Just as their motto says, trust, transparency, respect, unity, service, and training. The incident is not a comprehensive picture of the behavior, attitude, or actions of the entire department. I'm sure that this incident will be carefully scrutinized, evaluated, and reviewed to determine if compliance with current policies and community standards. The process that follows an incident such as this is a lengthy one that must be handled with care as prescribed by the law. I have, and my comrades that stand with me, have every confidence that the process will produce justice for all. Thank you.
My name is Daisy. I'm a resident of Seaside. When told, "Sir, he's a minor," Officer Cabello answered, "I don't care. I don't care." When asked by the news, one of the minors in the incident said, "It was like the George Floyd situation. It was the same. He put his knee on me. You know, that's bad. He can't do that." These children coming home from a park are supposed to feel safe. They were having fun with a dog. How does an officer of yours mistake a 15-year-old for a criminal that they're supposedly looking for? Second of all, this child is now traumatized by an incident that he had no expectation that it would happen to him ever in his life. He might have had a thought, what if this happens to me? But I don't think he was, you can never really be prepared for that, but a 15-year-old, how would he be prepared for that? You invite these children to the city and to the community events with fun activities along the same people who are then kneeling on the necks of those children. You can face the flag and pledge allegiance, but you can't face the children and assure them that they will be safe from its violence enforcers. Over 22,000 people have died in Gaza. So what are you going to do to protect not only the kids in Seaside, but to demand justice for the children of Palestine?
My name is Michael. I'm a resident of Seaside. I'm a mental health professional. I'm also an organizer with Monterey Palestine Solidarity and a longtime advocate for survivors and victims of police violence in this region. I want to start by saying that I'm absolutely appalled at the recent incident of police violence against a minor in our community. People have spoken on that, so I won't go into much detail, but I also want to add that we know that this actually happens a lot more than some people realize. It only gets attention when it's caught on video. I want to speak briefly now about the connections between police violence in Seaside and Israel's US-backed occupation of Palestine, and why we should care about both. The US military, domestic police forces in the US immigration enforcement, and the Israeli military all have a deep relationship involving the sharing of strategies, weapons, and surveillance technologies. Because of this, police are increasingly becoming militarized throughout the United States, both in their weapons and in their tactics, and including in this community. Local police agencies in this region have actually received counterinsurgency trainings from military personnel, following the nationwide trend to use these tactics to police marginalized communities. Police forces are essentially becoming occupying armies, and if you look at the history of policing in this country, in many ways this has always been true. We need to reverse the trends of policing and militarism both in our communities and abroad. The US government in particular bears responsibility for funding Israel's genocidal violence against Palestinians while militarizing local police departments and neglecting our community's needs, our real needs. We can counter both trends by removing funding for police, funding for Israel's military, funding for war in general, and using these resources for life-affirming programs. That is why I urge you to begin by passing a resolution, as many other cities have done throughout the country, throughout the state, and even in this region increasingly, to push for a ceasefire in Palestine, to provide humanitarian, this is a resolution, not that you're going to do this, to call for a resolution that pushes for a ceasefire in Palestine, to provide humanitarian aid to Gaza, and to end U.S. support for Israel's brutal, violent occupation. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Carla Lova. I am the co-chair of Central Coast Democratic Socialists of America. We are here to stand in solidarity with the violent, brutal attack that was done on a 15-year-old minor in our city. This is not new information, but it is televised newly in the city. This is ongoing behavior from a culture that we as taxpayers have to pay for. We demand this governing body to take swift, decisive policy and legislative action in response. As I mentioned before, this is not the first time. Weeks ago, we had a Seaside High, Battle of the Bays incident where we had 5 different agencies dispatched to our city of Seaside. In those, we had military-grade guns. Not only were they patrolling the children, but they were patrolling also the adults. The three individual officers that were on site to try to de-escalate did a wonderful job, and I commend the chief for that. The rest of the individuals that came in were strictly the police. And I say that because months ago, Central Coast Democratic Socialists of America sat in the office and the dispatch of our police chief to let him know about the ongoing issues that his police officers have been faced with our community, as far as overly aggressiveness, obviously obvious abuse of power within our own youth and within our own council, by tinkering around the subject of doing something for our children. If we don't see policy change, and like Alexis being the policy chair, or correct me if I'm wrong, for Addison, we should know that policy change starts within the department and those that held them accountable should be separate from that department. The commissioner sat here and told us that they don't see the full scope, that they praise as well, but they have absolutely no power. They are overseen by the same department that they're supposed to be holding accountable. How are we supposed to make that happen if the police chief is sitting there dictating what they can and cannot do? The policy in itself, the enactment of that ordinance, gives no leeway for that commission to pull any interior or data to go and look at these types of incidents in a public forum. So we have some demands that we have sent to the city council. I've also been in contact with the police chief so that we can talk further about this. As I stood here months ago with the past captain of the Monterey Bay FC talking about this very same issue of profiling. Now this cop has already had some arterial issues before, internal issues before, and has not been dealt with. So this is not just a new issue, this is an ongoing issue within the city of Seaside.
Hello, my name is Alex, and I live in Seaside. I've lived in Seaside almost my whole life. I'll start by saying I stand for equity, compassion, kindness, and well-being for all. And although it may feel daunting for me now standing up here in front of you and in front of everybody else, I do want to start off by saying that it's upsetting for me to have seen the footage of the police officer with that 15-year-old. I may not know the whole situation, but I do want to request and urge you all to investigate that situation and have appropriate actions taken towards that police. I may not explain it as eloquently as some other people before who stood here before me, that this is also the way that our police are trained, and the system within there is also connected with what is going on in Gaza. And I have already sent an email before, but I want to reiterate that please, Seaside, consider passing and drafting a resolution to help those in Palestine. And I request that, just like other cities in California and the United States, this resolution calls for an immediate ceasefire, that substantial aid be taken and let into Gaza, and that no more of our tax dollars go to fund any kind of economic or political in Israel. I just want to finish by saying I have told you all what I stand for and what I try to act upon every day when I wake up, and I know that you all have your specific values that you stand for and drive you and brought you to where you are today. And I ask you to sit down for a moment before you go to sleep and think about those values, give them a name, and remind yourself every day of them when you go into work, through every action you take at home, at the grocery store, to everybody you touch with and speak with, and let your actions come from there. If the values on the police cars say serve and protect, then I would really hope and strive that all those police officers and everyone within the police department strive to serve and protect. Thank you.
Hello, council members, and thank you for letting me speak today. I'm a second-generation Palestinian woman, born and raised in Seaside. Yet, I have never felt like such an outsider. I'm not safe here. Neither is the youth in your community. My 13-year-old sister was choked by a Zionist on the sand dunes for writing a free Gaza on the dune. Yet, he still remains a big part of our community until this day. We are not safe here, and there must be consequences for people's actions. A resolution like the one passed in Oakland calling for a ceasefire would hold the precedent that Palestinian lives matter, that they should be humanized here and in Gaza. So I urge you to listen to your community members and call for a ceasefire, as well as hold all the oppressors accountable for their actions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tony Amarante. I live on Wanda Avenue in Seaside, and I'm a member of the Community Safety Advisory Committee, and regarding the committee, I just wanted to remind everybody that we meet regularly with the chief, and there are 2 openings on our committee that we could use 2 more people on our committee, and there's even an opening for a youth advisor on our committee. And if anybody's interested, I'm sure if they could contact the city attorney's office or the city clerk's office, they get their information. So I just wanted to remind everybody that we're still looking for people on our committee.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Sylvia Shi. I am the resident of Seaside. I came here initially and still to celebrate because I see that the Seaside has decorated the most beautiful tree in the peninsula, and also that the Seaside has paved the parking lot in front of the city hall, which gives the city a good image. But I also encountered the group of people who are protesting about the instance of the police. And I want to make a comment in that the culture in this country and in the world celebrates strength and might and military, which is really the wrong thing to do. And the Biden administration currently vetoed a United Nations resolution which calls for immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Now, as a city in Seaside, what can we do? One is that knowing that culture is celebrating the might, we might want to emphasize and shift the focus, especially within the police force, to show kindness and respect in carrying out their duties. I know that we have been going through a lot of police training, but it's not permeating. Things like this still happen. And I'm here to celebrate the holidays. And another thing I would like to encourage the city to do is that, at a minimum, we can pass a resolution to support an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The killing goes on, it's just madness. A representative in the Congress, Representative Hank Johnson, has written a letter to the Biden administration with a lot of cosigns to ask for immediate ceasefire. I think that we can take a position and write a resolution. I don't have a resolution in hand, but it could happen. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Stephen. I've been a resident here for 36 years, which is my whole life, and I've lived all around the peninsula. There have been a lot of great anecdotal things said about the police force around here, but although that's all good and fine, I can tell you that unfortunately racial profiling and violence does in fact exist around here. That's unfortunate truth, and I know because I have experienced it myself over and over again. And so the only reason that we're, so I think the reason that we're here is because we do want to see justice from the investigation of the officer in question. And although we do know that that is underway, we would like to see it transparently. We would like to see it done with actual justice, because oftentimes we as people who are powerless against a body of people that have a monopoly of power cannot be trusted to investigate themselves fairly. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Malika Velasquez, and I am on the MPOSD School Board. I'm also on the CSAC. I am not speaking as a member of either. I'm speaking as a Seaside resident. I think one of the things that's not being recognized here is that two realities can be true in the same space. So yes, for many, the city is safe. And then for others, they don't feel that same safety. Where this incident took place is a 3-minute walking distance from my home. I am the mother of a special needs child that is 13 years old. He is 5'10" and 170 pounds. We walk across that spot at least 3 times a week. So when I saw the video, that was very disheartening. It was a violation of my spirit because I know that oftentimes when we walk that path, I'm in a hoodie and sneakers and so is my son, and I've been mistaken for a teenager walking that path. And though I do know there are good officers in Seaside, it can also be true that there are some bad apples. And unfortunately, the bad apples make the uniform and the cruiser a trigger for people who have been traumatized by them previously. And I think that's something we need to understand, is that everyone should feel safe in Seaside, and the community is telling us that everyone does not feel safe. So as community leaders, we have to do something to make that true. And we have to acknowledge the fact that those community members that are saying they are unsafe have just as valid as a point as the ones that say they are. And as a mother of a child that could have been walking that same path when that officer was looking for whoever, because from what I'm hearing, I don't know if there was a description or not, that could have been pulled over. My son, as big as he is mentally 6 or 7 years old and does not understand police commands, but because of the fact that his disability does not have a physical aesthetic, anything could happen in an interaction with him. So that incident did scare me dearly. So again, everyone needs to feel safe in Seaside, not just a certain part of the community. Thank you.
Hello, Wes White, City of Monterey County Homeless Union co-president. I've seen a lot of police brutality beyond among all the jurisdictions in Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, and it's just an attitude. What needs to, it's authoritativeness more than authoritarianism, which has been a constant problem in the schools. Just being an adult. Look how much you guys get paid for an officer as opposed to a teacher, which may immediately leave the profession altogether. It should be the opposite, and I think that way the authoritativeness would shine through, because when it comes to the money, and I'm with so many of you, I've had so many negative interactions, including the top cop, the sheriff of Monterey County. And it's unfortunate, that everyone just feels so empowered and entitled to be so rude and unjust. And yet, here they are getting paid over public and private. If there hadn't been a video, I'm sure it would have been a lot worse. And I've had video, that's the whole reason I video. And so for the public, I would encourage, as soon as you see a policeman, pull your phone out, start recording until they go away. Make sure everyone's safe and everyone gets to go home safe, nobody gets arrested, especially for what, dude? It just seems like people are getting jumped on, especially if you're homeless. If you report for rape, that is the ultimate, and you want to talk about the racism and everything else, people get targeted on it daily, and what are we doing with people? And so all the money you're spending for protection, while those same people protecting are the ones abusing, that doesn't make any sense at all. When are we going to start doing it better? Got to do it different. And defund the police. They get paid way too much to begin with, especially to be so mean. And that's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of love here. There's a lot of hope, and I hope that happens.
Hello, my name is Erin. I'm a resident of Monterey. I'm a court-appointed special advocate for a 14-year-old child in foster care here in our county. She is a person of color. I have been her court-appointed special advocate for 2 years. I've worked in education and nonprofit sector my entire career, it's about 13 years now. And I think it's interesting, people hear defund police and hear zero police, chaos, and there's all this inflammatory talk of rape and murder and pillaging. And that's just not what defunding police means. It's about reallocating those resources to our schools that are desperate. I'd also like to comment on the fact that people are saying that this isn't Gaza, but Google, the same corporation that has over $1 billion contract for their surveillance in Gaza, is the same Google with Google Classrooms, where I log into this child that I love. I log into her account because I hold her educational rights. And I see how Google is creating this school-to-prison pipeline. I see the verbiage that they use to speak about our children. I see the record that they create about children when they are in middle school. That starts this story, right? You're telling a story. Who was the perpetrator? We're talking about children. And the interesting thing is that we're in this time where we can talk about we're not Gaza and we're not all these other problems, other places in the world, but we're all connected, right? And this is an us problem. And I think for you all, the question you can ask yourself, and the thing that you can know, right, is that we are on the cusp of a massive change. This country is at the cusp of a massive change. Do you want to come with us, or do you want to be written in history books as people who chose to say nothing? These are our community members. And I'm baffled that we just came into this public space that our tax dollars paid for, and we're talking about God and listening to Christian music. That's not fair to other people in this room who don't prescribe to that religion. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with Christmas or Christianity. It's just to say we need to make space. And when we don't make space, that's what starts violence. That is a seed of violence. Our actions mean things. Our words mean things. How we decorate our city hall and the music that we play and how it makes your constituents feel and whose dollars are being used to buy these things. It just confuses me. Can we please create a more inclusive community where people truly feel safe? We don't want chaos. This doesn't represent violence or terrorism. It's people who are trying to build something. We don't stand for this because we want to build something better.
Separation of church and state.
All right, let's just be respectful. Otherwise you'll be asked to leave. No, you're gonna be able to go. Is there anyone else? If you wanted to say something, please stand up and form the line.
Don't talk to me, dude. Don't talk to me.
Of course, no problem. Thank you, Mayor.
Everybody needs to be respectful. Well, both of you.
Okay.
Right? I'm listening to both of you while I'm waiting on her to speak. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Mayor. Hello, City Council. I'm Kira Pani, 15-year Seaside resident. I live in this city. I love this city. I'm raising kids in this city. Seaside means the world to me. And I've had personally good experiences with police officers here. I've also witnessed family and friends who have had negative experiences with police officers here. I'm thinking big picture, and I think it's important to note that the context of some of the comments and the vibes being brought here today is trauma-informed. People make connections. People see the brutality inflicted on people of color, whether it's George Floyd and the other tragedies brought up during the BLM movement, whether it is entire families, schools, hospitals, children being bombed, missing limbs in Gaza. These are connected, although they might feel very far apart, and that is the context of the emotions you're feeling whenever people see a youth treated like a criminal in our town by the authority that they're supposed to trust. The systems that adults create determine the dreams that our children are able to have for themselves. If children are treated with dignity and taken care of, and their basic needs are met, and they are loved, and they are encouraged for their talents, they learn to dream big. They learn to make our society what we need it to be when we're old and they're in charge. When kids are treated like criminals because of their identities, because of how they look, because of who they're assumed to be, their dreams shrink. They become very small. They operate from a place of fear and trauma and anguish. And I just ask that we as a city
including our police force, embody the feeling that there is enough to go around, that we can believe in every one of our youth and give them the benefit of the doubt and treat them in a way that will allow them to grow up with dignity and abundance and dream the way we need them to fix the mess in the world. Thank you.
Public comment remains open. Seeing no one else, public comment is closed. It was a couple, I think someone said earlier, there's a lot of misinformation and not a lot of information being out. But I know for a fact that the chief of police, through the city manager, reached out to a lot of people in this community and told them the facts of what's going on. And for those people to act as though they didn't receive those calls and they didn't hear those words, whether you agree with them or not, is a little disconcerting to me, because the chief took immediate action. And I asked him earlier that I'll probably call him down here to say as much as he can say legally about that situation. Go ahead, come on, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and members of the public. First of all, I just want to say I want to thank everyone who spoke. I was sitting over here listening intently to every single speaker and hanging on every single word. I'm paying attention. I want to point out a couple things. Number one is I also saw the video. And I first saw the video a day after the incident, and it was reported to me by Seaside residents. So they know who they are, and I want to thank the Seaside community who had enough confidence and trust in our department to step forward and relay that to me, because I cannot address things that I am unaware of. So I want to thank our Seaside community for reaching out in the early stages. Secondarily, day one, I saw this. I placed the officer immediately on administrative leave, which is protocol. Day one, not day two, not after the news reported this, day one here in Seaside, okay? Number two, I heard a comment and I agree wholeheartedly. You cannot have police investigate themselves. I completely agree. And that is why we are not investigating ourselves. We have hired an independent source who specializes in police misconduct to investigate this as a third party. That was key, and I appreciate the comments and I support those and I will act on those. It's my philosophy as well. We acted swiftly. We are taking proactive measures. We've reached out to local partners. We are taking every step to address this issue. Now again, due to legal limitations, I can't give opinions or other comments too deep into the situation. But I did personally reach out to many members of our community that are seated behind me, and I gave them basic fundamentals of the facts that were known to me that I knew at the time. And I just want to end by saying this. I ensure this community, I am addressing this, I am acting swiftly, and the Seaside Police Department surrounds itself with trying to establish trust, and we will continue to establish trust, and we will do the right thing, the legal way, the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I just got a few closing comments on what we all heard. I want to just thank every one of you for sharing your time and sharing your truth, right? Someone said it towards the end, which is a couple realities can be. They said two, but it could be a couple realities. And I understand how certain communities, or just certain people can feel unsafe in their community because, I mean, as grown people, right? What city, everybody feels safe in that city, right? Okay, so we're big enough to say that some people may not feel safe. The question is, what are we going to do about it? And I think we're still working on that. And as long as people are complaining on that, I mean, that's just a self-fulfilling prophecy where you continue to try to get better. And you definitely don't want to mistreat anyone or have people feel unsafe. But some of that came from unsafe from the police. And so I want to just pull away from, you know, we're getting better. This is a very safe community. Our kids are safe. Our children are safe. But when you say you feel unsafe, are you saying you feel unsafe by the police action? And I can understand why you would say that. The question is, how do we do better, making sure you don't feel that way? And you can't do that overnight. You can't do that with a knee-jerk reaction by saying, hey, the person that did this thing should be fired, and all of a sudden it goes away. It doesn't go away. So if we are really committed to making sure everybody feels safe here, we have to work and communicate and believe in each other and support each other and respect each other. And part of that is the council's #1 responsibility is to make sure we provide the most efficient services we can with the tax dollars that we receive, with the #1 priority is make sure everybody feels safe and protected. Right, so we're hearing what you're saying, and the aspect of it, if it's not from criminals, if it's from the police, then we'll work through the city manager, through the police chief to make sure we're correcting those issues. But this incident, what brings us here tonight, can't be solved by this council tonight. That's underneath the chief of police and the city manager's purview to make sure a fair, transparent as possible process is done. And then we'll hear the results when that comes to light. And I think that's what you guys are asking for. And so that's what we're going to make sure we do. That's what we're going to do whether you came down here or not. The chief said within 24 hours he just put the person on administrative leave. And so I had to ask myself, what else could he do but start an investigation. So we appreciate the chief for that. And I'll just close with I think a couple of us received, for those that may not know, I think a couple of us received emails asking us to have a resolution about the ceasefire in Gaza. And that thing is really hard for this council to do. I'm sure people can list a handful of cities that have done it, right? And some of those always in international affairs. But I'm trying to figure out how does Seaside get in that international affair, right? How do we come out on one side or the other? Because it's people that, it's Israelis that live in the city of Seaside, right? And they don't feel as though it should be some type of ceasefire. And if two realities can be true, yours and theirs could be true. And how would we as a community ask the council, ask the rest of the communities that we represent to divide themselves over this type of issue, right? That doesn't mean we're disregarding the indiscriminate bombing that's going over there. That doesn't, none of that, right? We all feel that, we all see that. But again, how do we do it here in this city, in Seaside, with our tradition about making sure we protect everybody's feelings and respect? And so sometimes we're quick to say other cities do it, but we're not other cities. And I know for a fact we do more for our children than other cities. But that doesn't make a lot of sense if you don't think we're treating your child right. Right? We spend all the money we can on kids, but if you don't think it's enough, then it may not be enough. So I'm not disregarding the pain of the Palestinians. I'm not disregarding any of that. But it's just how do we do it? How do we respect your feelings as we try to move through this as a body of citizens of the world, being one of the most diverse populations here in the Central Coast. So I just wanted to be clear about that. We heard the comments about the ceasefire, but I didn't want you to think it went in one ear and out the other. It's just as hard for us to have representing all of our citizens to come on one side or the other, even though I understand that Palestinians don't believe there's an equal side, but they're being indiscriminately bombed. I understand that. So thank you so much for coming down and sharing your thoughts and your feelings and your concerns. And you know, again, I guess we'll await city manager some type of the appropriate information when it comes back, because this is a personnel matter. You guys will find out some way or another what has happened as much as legally we can, because if we don't do it as legally as possible, we can be held accountable as a city. So that's all I'm going to say about that until we have more information. All right, thank you so much. Next, we'll go on to public communication, city manager.
There are none. Members of the council.
Palestine. So, hold on. Councilmember Miller, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering if we could get a quick 5-minute recess.
Yes, we will take this. Call to order the City of Seaside City Council and Seaside City Redevelopment Agency regular meeting, 44 Hall Court Council Chambers, Thursday, December 21st, 2023, 5 p.m. Roll call, please.
Council and Agency Member Miller.
Here.
Council and Agency Member Burks.
Here.
Council and Agency Member Garcia Arizola.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Pacheco.
Here.
Mayor and Chair Oglesby.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll have invocations and pledge allegiance. I believe we have Reverend Britt from Great Victory Temple to lead us in invocation. And then I would ask Council Member Burks to lead us in the pledge allegiance, if she would, please.
Shall we pray? Eternal God, our Father, we come this evening with thanksgiving in our hearts to thank you for the many blessings that God has bestowed upon us. Thank you for our mayor, every council member, city attorney, city manager. Thank you for our police chief, our fire chief, and those that works upon them. Thank you for every citizen of Seaside. Now, God, we ask your blessing to be upon us and with us in this meeting. We ask that you bind every spirit of ism and schism, every spirit of division. We come against it. Let there be peace in this place tonight. Hearts are hurting, but God, you're the healer of our heart. And we pray, God, that this meeting will be represented by you and you own it. So Spirit of the living God, fall afresh upon each and every one of us in this place. And we'll be more than careful to give thy name the praise, the glory, and the honor shall be thine. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Walter Wire, and I felt I had to come. I had an incident happen to me, and this was a business person that owned the business here, and I dropped my wallet, and wasn't even 50 seconds, and I dropped my wallet and went back, and the wallet was gone. So we did the film and everything, and found out the guy who picked the wallet took the money out, $1,500. So this officer that I don't know too much about, he came there, and he got my money back in 1 hour. 1 hour. Who heard 1 hour? Who hears that? You know? So I had to come and share that with you. Okay? Being in this business for 62 years. Okay? Now, you guys are talking about teens and all that.
You can just speak to the...
Okay. You guys are talking about teens and all that. I understand teens. But teens can be mean too, okay? I know that for a fact. I live on Trinity Street. I mean, I see how fast they drive by. I see if you say something, what they do. But I know this much. By knowing how this new chief that we have, I've never felt safer here, okay? And I have to say that. I know some of the police force and stuff like that. I'm sure most of these people have called the police. Okay? If you haven't, go up to Oakland and see what they do when they put you on that call and say, can you wait, we'll get back to you. Okay? So everyone's cutting them down now, but you can't do one bad apple and get the rest. That's all I have to say.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Anne Marie Pagon, live in Seaside, my entire life. First I want to say, I feel safe in Seaside. Always have, and I'm sure I always will.
It was said here tonight that nothing's been done about this officer. There's a lot that has been done. He was put on immediate leave, and an investigation has started. Our police chief can't do anything until the investigation is over. This officer, whether you like him or not, whether you think he was right or wrong, he has the same opportunity that every one of us has to have the investigation and have it come out with a resolution. And I'm sure after it's done, there will be a resolution. Probably won't be a resolution like everybody wants, and maybe it'll be a resolution that everybody wants. But we have to let the policy and the procedure go ahead. We have a great department, and as the previous speaker said, you can't try to bring down our entire police department because of one officer. I'm totally against the defunding of the police department. I personally have called the police department for several instances, and they respond. If we defund this police department, who's going to protect us? I want you, everybody that thinks defunding, if we take that money that we run our police department with and give it to housing and groceries and parks and libraries, we won't need any of those things because nobody would want to live in this city that is unprotected. And there again, as the previous speaker said, I hope no one who has fought for the defunding needs to call the police. And I'm sure a lot of them have already called the police. In fact, a couple of speakers that are up here, I know for a fact have called the police. So defunding is not the way to solve this. And this is not Gaza, this is Seaside. Thank you.
I'm Ray Reardon. I'm on the NIC committee, but I'm speaking as a private citizen. To the people that want to do something about Gaza, strap on your boots and head over there. Go there and help. Okay, there's 3 flights going there. Ask all of you that are here that didn't stand up for our national anthem, and then you turn around and ask this council to draft a resolution and all that. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Okay, you're with us or you're against us. As a Vietnam vet, I saw this when I came home from this, and I saw everybody pointing the fingers and spitting on us and things like that. And it was odd that we were fighting for the freedom, and freedom of speech is what you have tonight here. It's disgusting that how someone said defund the police. Okay? In Vietnam, there was chaos. There was no policemen. And there was rape, murder, everything that you can think of, you saw it there. So defunding the police doesn't make sense either. But like I said, strap on your boots, join the police force. They're more than welcome to train you, send you to school, or head to Gaza and help those people. You don't have to fight for it, but help them. And that's where you're putting where your thoughts are. Be brave enough to go there. Then stand up here and blah, 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 and then snap your fingers and think this is okay. You know? Did I want to go to Vietnam? No. Changed my life forever. Maybe you need to do the same thing by going to Gaza or joining the police force, because it would do everybody good. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, community, and pastors, my friends. First of all, let's be honest, defunding the police would be simply the purge. I don't know if you've seen the movie The Purge, and it would be the purge day, night, every moment, and every second of the day. That means you can just walk out and kill anybody you want. As Pastor Jones stated, the model of the police department is not what we saw. I saw the video. I think if it was the right one, the boy was not crying at all. The boy was talking to the guy that had the dog. The dog was jumping up on the guy. Yes, the officer was wrong in all ways, putting it on his knee on his neck. The boy said in a very quiet voice, "Hey, you got your knee on my neck." The officer said, which is wrong, "I don't care." That was the wrong answer. Even if he was trained right, he's a human being. Sometimes things happen at home, and you just don't say the right stuff when you should. I'm sure that this is not the thought, the mentality of our chief, police chief, Nick Borges. I don't think he believes in this action. I don't think he would have taken this action. I don't think any of this action would have been taken. But I can recall there was a time that the police chiefs maybe would have had sole authority to get rid of an officer when something like this happened. This was maybe a year ago, a couple of months ago, and that was voted down. I believe if this officer was under our chief and our chief had the opportunity to get rid of him now, I believe this. I don't know this, but I believe this. I believe he would get rid of him right away. Secondly, I saw the video of the news, and the young man said correctly, this was like a George Floyd, but not a George Floyd. Let's not make this a George Floyd. AB 1196 should be followed. SB 203 was not possible. Again, not a George Floyd. Someone said this community is intertangled. So if that's the case, let's forgive and then truly be honest and love ye one another. This was not about race. If this was a white boy with a white officer, would we be in an uproar? I don't think so. Wrong approach, wrong situation, wrong outcome. It was said that this police department has issues. Monterey, Carmel, Salinas, Pacific Grove, I've lived here all my life, have all had issues, white, black, or brown. The biggest issue we have is we need to love our neighbor as ourselves. Bottom line. Everybody's talking about what's going on in Gaza. Again, this is not Gaza. I feel for everyone in Gaza. But if we don't correct what's going on here and love one another through forgiveness and understanding, Seaside can become a Gaza. I'm asking that we would rally around the city council to continue to support them in their right, wrong, or indifferent, in your opinion, but be supported, because love is what we need, and love is the only thing that is going to keep us together. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. My name is Sergio. I'm a Seaside resident. I'm also a vet of the United States Army. I also have some post certifications working with law enforcement for a bit, and also am a victim of police brutality. So, a couple things here, folks. One, there has not been a complete investigation. I know that people are upset and going through the emotions, but we can't demand immediate without having a full investigation. Some people say, I don't know what happened in the beginning, I don't know what happened during, I don't know what's going on right now. We all don't know what's going on. But one thing I do see is that our city council, our mayor is engaged. They're trying to figure out what is the steps that need to happen in order to make this right. I can tell you that out of the multitude of cities that I've lived in across this country, I feel safe in Seaside. I feel safe in Seaside. I didn't feel safe in some parts of San Diego. I didn't feel safe in some parts of Newport, Rhode Island. But I can tell you, I feel safe in this city. I can tell you that there has been times where I've had to call the police and say, hey, I got a homeless guy urinating in my yard. And they responded immediately. I can tell you that, a package was stolen from my neighbor, and the police came out, reviewed footage from my neighbor's cameras. They came out. Every single time that I've had any interactions, or even watched what they have resolved and solved in this city, is pretty remarkable for being so small. I commend the police department in their approach on how they are reacting to the situation. The officer is on leave. What more can they do right now? Like, what more can we do? We can't sit there and say, we demand justice, we need justice, we need justice, but then say, but I don't want that kind of justice right now. I want justice to be completely one-sided, and because that's what I want. We need to see how it plays out and then respond. And I feel like people are not taking their time to sit there and let things work out. I'm new to this community. I've been here a year, but I can tell you, I feel safe in Seaside. And I wasn't going to be here to speak tonight. I just wanted to come check it out as a Seaside resident, but with everything that was said, I had to chime in. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Dennis Alexander. I'm a resident of Seaside for 28 years, and I'm a former reserve police officer in Seaside about 20 years ago. And, you know, from what I saw, this officer did wrong. From what I saw in the paper, I saw in the news, this officer did wrong. There's an investigation underway, and I'm sure that justice will be done. Knowing our current police chief, I'm very confident of that. But I want to speak on the aspect of defunding, which I think is completely wrong. If we were to defund our police department, then that means the sheriff's department will have to come in and protect our city. That means that deputies who last night worked in Carmel Valley or Castroville will come in on a rotation basis and work in our city, where they don't know the streets, they don't know the neighbors, and when they go code 3, they have to put it in their phone. That's taking time where they need to go on an emergency call. What we need is better training. We need to do situations, you know, such where we make our officers make the right decision. But defunding our police department, our protection, officers who are in contact with our city and hopefully know our citizens is what we need to have. We do not want to have the Sheriff's Department. I volunteer at the Sheriff's Department, so they're a great department, but we don't want to have the deputies who don't know our city or our citizens come in on a rotation basis, who worked someplace else last night, they haven't been here working in our city maybe in 2 weeks. We need to have a police department, a well-trained, empathetic police department under a very good chief. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Pastor Ron Britt, longtime resident of Seaside, California. Don't want to be redundant. A lot of things have been said. I do want to speak on the funding of the police. Totally against it. Back before Jesus was born, they had law enforcement. Law enforcement is never going away. And so we do not need to defund our police department. We have a great chief, a great police department. We ask for this chief. There's a word that people have not said tonight. They said it around like due process. The officer is due process. It will play out. Who knows what the results are going to be. But if I didn't get a chance to see the video, but being a former officer myself, he'll be let go. But don't let the citizens, don't let any pressure be upon you to do anything that will cause another lawsuit to the city of Seaside, because people are hurting, they're speaking out of their hurt. But let due process take its place.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I promise to be very brief. I actually was not going to make a personal comment. I'm here as the Vice Chairman of the Seaside Safety Commission tonight, but I'm also here as a private resident. And I'm also a member of the media. And one thing that has disturbed me over the past couple of weeks with this incident is what I've been seeing on social media, because there is a ton of misinformation out there. There's a ton of videos out there that have been doctored. There's a ton of people out there with keyboards and fingers that are typing misinformation, and it's going out to our public. So I urge everyone to just let this play out, let it play out the way that it is. I'm disturbed because my city of Seaside is being compared to metropolitan Los Angeles. I was born and raised here, and I've also had the luxury of living in metropolitan Los Angeles for 30 plus years. Seaside is not metropolitan Los Angeles. It's not San Francisco. It is certainly not Chirac. So don't make my city out to be what it's not.
Amen.
Thank you.